Okay. If you aren't already sitting up on something, grab a thing to sit on. That's the only kind of prop thing I have planned today. I finally got a pillow inside of my Freddie Mercury case, and I'm very excited about that. My friend had me sign up for this newsletter that Nick Cave does. It's called the Red Hand Files. And I'm really enjoying it because I've been a huge Nick Cave fan for most of my existence. And is a really interesting, thoughtful writer. And he answers questions in this newsletter. And this week, one of the questions was about a religious perspective, and the other question was, is shitty art worth making? And he responded this: as for shitty art, all art is imperfect, like the world itself. And to some extent, value judgments on art are largely subjective and besides the point. Creating art is about growing in the world and increasing its reach, and it has more to do with the act of creation itself than what is actually made. Anything that animates us creatively in a positive way, be it the grand design of a great architectural wonder or the big bang of a child's drawing, it is a reenactment of the original creation story. And whether we realize it or not, making art is a religious, or you can say spiritual, encounter, as it is our attempts to grow beyond ourselves that energize the soul of the universe. And as a movement sort of person, I have always found that just the movement of the human body is very artistic. Being a dancer for so many years, I would talk to people and they say oh, I'm not really a dancer. I don't understand dance as art. You're a human and you have a body and you move it to some extent, and so we can make dance with that. You can have this be a creative expression, and that's a lot of what our yoga practices, and that's a lot of what it can be kind of enjoyable about it. There's that dialogue that we're always having with this ego part of us that's this shape needs to look like this. I want to get it to be this picture. And then we of course have this, exchange of no, it's about how it feels and how things are happening. But it's not wrong to enjoy the aesthetics and the artistry in the way that we move our body. And we don't have to just be limited to being there with the breath. This is a full spectrum experience, and it's worth doing all on its own, even if it looks like crap and you never touch your toes a day in your life. It's about the process, and it's about the doing it and the being here. Go ahead and take your index finger and your thumb together. We'll start with face brushing, the little squishy spot at the bottom of your thumb. Go out to your temples a few times. And then from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. From the temples to your chin, down along the bottom edge of the face. And the sides of the nose to the chin, along your laugh lines. And then take your fingertips underneath and behind your ears. Maybe even kind of wiggle your body a little bit side to side, like a snake rising and dancing, just to get a little bit more space in the spine. Is there more there? Is there something else to play with? And keeping that lift as you drop your hands down into your lap. As you take a few deep breaths, considering the creative capacities of your movement or whatever your personal artistic expression is, finding the joy and the contentment that reside there. And take another big breath in through your nose. Big Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 alls. Plan that or something. We're gonna get into some pretty deep hip work stuff today. We're gonna start off in swan pose. So go ahead and take, if you had a cushion or anything underneath you, go ahead and set that to the side, and then you're gonna take both of your knees over towards the right side. You're gonna tuck this left leg back behind you just a little bit more. It doesn't need to be a lot. If it feels tight in your lower back, maybe scooch that knee up a little bit. And then go ahead and walk yourself out over your shin as much as possible. So try not to be so much here. Try to get a little bit closer to your foot. And take 3 very deep, involved breaths. So full inhale. And then find some softness as you exhale. Notice what changes. Do that 2 more times. And from here, you're going to start to settle a little bit more, so maybe not quite as deep and intensive breath, but just kind of hanging out in this space. You want to do a little bit of shifting around, just kind of noticing if a little bit of movement feels good to you, or if you just want to stay a little bit more still. And you're going to be here for like about another minute. Try to find some steadiness in your breath and your eyebrows. You hang out there. I know we didn't have that. Still just trying to find softness. Like you don't have to lay yourself all the way down on your shin. You just are where you are. If you have more space, maybe relaxing a little bit further into it. Take 2 more nice, long, steady breaths. And you start to walk yourself back. And then this back knee, you're gonna tuck it up a little bit. Don't bring your foot together towards your hip. You wanna have a little bit of space. You've got this pinwheel sort of shape. And walk your hands back. Leave that left knee down on the floor. Maybe you lift the hip up a little bit. Maybe there's a forearm that you come down to, or both of them. Keep actively lifting this left hip just gently up into the air. Just about 2 more breaths like this. Big exhale. And then if you are back on both forearms, you can take the left hand crossed over and doggy paddle your way up, and then switch your legs over. It's a little bit different than pigeon. Like pigeon, I would be up here, and then swan and just rest it over on the hip. It's really giving me some space so that I'm supported and I don't have to worry too much about exactly how far I get here. It's more of a receiving kind of stretch. Start with those 3 deep breaths. Really focusing on trying to soften and deflate like the whole body when you exhale. And starting to trail off into a gentler breath, maybe a gentler kind of hanging out sort of in tension. Noticing what comes up. The physical sensations and the thoughts that come up. About 5 more breaths. After your next exhale, starting to walk your hands back in, and take that back leg, sneak it up a little bit so you have this kind of square situation, and then bring your hands back. So you were going towards your shin, now you want to draw yourself back away from it. Leave the knee down, lift the hip up, if anything lifts at all. And then there's an elbow or two that you may or may not come down to. Try to leave the knee down, let the hip be the part that lifts, if anything does. Just 2 more breaths. And if you're back a lot, take that right hand, cross it over, lift yourself up. And you're going to take your feet, bring them together, come forward. Nice long spine. Sending your heart towards your toes. Another big breath in. Soften as you exhale. Start to lift yourself up. You're going to separate your feet. So you can separate them a little bit. If you can separate them a little bit more, it doesn't matter how far you get forward. You can like hold on to the ball mounds of the big toes here, and then draw your heart forward like it's going to go in between your feet, but of course it's not going to get anywhere near there. Which is all good. Big breath in. Big breath out. Start to lift yourself back up. You're going to come down onto your back in pretty much this shape. We'll come into happy baby. So go ahead and roll yourself down there. Take the knees open and then reach up. You can hold onto your feet. I kind of like the 2 peace fingers wrapping around the big toe. Just grab your knees if that feels better in your body. Rock around as much as you like. Be a little bit more creative and dancey with this if you want. Another nice long steady breath. Let all the air out as you exhale. Then you're going to keep holding onto your right ankle. Go ahead and drop the left foot down onto the floor. Bent knee is going to give you a lot more space in the hips. So you can extend the leg, but it'll be a little bit more accessible to most of us with the leg bent. I'm going to try to get your fingers in between your toes. You want to try to weave them in there. If you're wearing socks or you think this is weird, I mean, it is. If you want to, you can do like this little piggy went to market kind of situation on your toes. That is a more than acceptable substitute for this insanity. You're going to let your right thigh bone drop into the outside of your rib cage. If you wiggle your finger bones around inside of your toe bones. Making sure we keep those feet limber and stretched out. One more breath in. Deep breath out. And you're going to take your fingers out from in between your toes and then lift your foot up like it's planted on the ceiling. So just like imagine that the ceiling was closer. And then your hips, just let your hips get heavier for a moment. Ooh. It's a weird thing to think about, but just like, can I not lift my hips up? One more exhale. Release the right side and then take that left leg up. And bring it up kind of towards happy baby here, just on the left side. And you can keep holding on to this foot, this ankle, wherever you can. Take your right fingers. Try to get those suckers in between your toes. Move the finger bones around. Feel very silly and somewhat ineffective. Why can't I get my fingers between my toes? Release your right hand from your left foot. I'm going to try to bring this foot up like it's going to make a footprint on the ceiling. And then what do I mean by let your hips be heavier? Sometimes we do this like tucking and resisting thing, like we doubt how much space there is. And I don't want you to push yourself, but can you just relax into whatever space might be there? One more breath. And then you're going to release that foot. Go ahead and take both feet down. You can open up both knees, just kind of hanging out for a moment, letting this inner thighs stretch out. If that feels a little tender, just go ahead and drop one knee down for a breath or two, and then I'll let you know when we want to move to the other side. Even take your fingertips and just kind of touch the outsides of your thighs. If you did have just one knee drop down, go ahead and switch to the other side now. One more breath. Start to close both legs back together. I'm going to take your left thigh and cross it over your right thigh. And then stamp your right foot down. Hop your hips over to the left a little bit. Not a lot, but a little. And then open your arms like a cactus shape. You're going to drop the knees over towards the right. Probably you stop with your foot caught down there. And you could go further if it feels good to you. It might not this early in practice. But I want you to press the back of your right arm down so that hopefully your left side opens up with a little bit more softness. And then when you exhale, soften your belly back towards your spine. And don't worry about how close your knees are to the ground. They don't have to be close at all. You might be like way up here. That's all good. Gently pressing that right arm down so that you can relax the left arm. Big breath in. Big breath out. One more round of breath. Really soften with that exhale. You're going to bring the legs back. Go ahead and unwind your left leg. And you're going to take the right leg up and over. You'll do a couple of those little scooches. So you get over towards the right side with those hips. And then the legs drop over towards the left. Either catch on the foot or go a little bit further. It's up to you. Gentle pressure in the back of the left arm is going to help to hopefully relax the front of the right shoulder. And even if nothing really changes its positioning, it might just feel a bit different, which is kind of the idea. Softening your belly as you breathe out. One more nice long exhale, really let it go. Unwind yourself, come back to the center, wiggle your hips back to the center, widen your feet, knock your knees against each other. Do a little core work before we keep moving. Take your right ankle up on your left knee. And then you're gonna use your inner thighs to tuck up towards your belly. So you're gonna lift those legs up. Now flex your feet. And take your arms up in the air. Take a big breath in. Exhale, reach those hands up and maybe take your head and shoulders with it. Inhale here. Exhale, reach it up. Inhale here, exhale, let your belly fall down towards your spine. Ooh, that got me higher. 2 more breaths. Big breath in. Big breath out. Ease your head back down. You can drop your arms down. Go ahead and relax your left foot down. And then lift it back up. And drop it back down. It might not get very far. Maybe you're just like, boop, off the floor. Do that 3 more times though. Up, down, hopefully without tense jaw muscles. 1 more time. Set it down. Unwind your right leg, wiggle things because it feels nice. And then take your left ankle around your right ankle. You're gonna lift those legs up, wrap those inner thighs up towards your torso, flex your feet, reach your arms up to the sky. Take a big breath in. Exhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Stay there, inhale. Exhale, reach up a little bit more, stay there, inhale, exhale, let your belly fall back. Maybe you've got a little bit more room, stay there for 2 more breaths. Exhale. And then upper body comes down, your right foot drops down, and then you're gonna lift it back up. And lower. The more smooth and slow and controlled it is, the more intense it becomes. I think there's 1 more. I'm really bad at counting. Lift the foot down. Unwind your legs. Go ahead and slide yourself up nice and long. Stretch your belly, stretch the fronts of your thighs, wiggle a little bit more side to side. Ooh. Take another big breath in. And relax as you exhale. Bring those knees into your chest. Rock yourself up to a seat. And then we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So if this is the point where you need to get a little bit of cushion underneath your knees, please do so. I'm going to face you here. You're going to take your right leg out to the right. Ugh. And then you're going to start with the toes down. Then turn your toes up, feeling the thigh bone move around in your hip socket. And then take the toes back down and the toes back up. If you can get the whole leg rotating and really, you can see it. Look, if I don't wear black pants, you can see what happens in the leg. Madness. And then next time you drop your foot back down, you can leave it there unless you really like with the toes in the air. And then you can stay that way, but I think this gets a little bit more into that inner thigh space to have the toes down and you can stretch the outside of your calf more. If you would like to come down onto one or both forearms, here's your opportunity to do so. And then let your heart melt down towards the floor as you let your tailbone float up towards the ceiling. Notice places where you're holding tension. See if you don't have to hold that tension. Big breath in. Big exhale. And then if you came down onto your forearms, you're going to come back up. You're going to walk over towards the left. Leave the left hand down. Take the right arm up. And you want to keep these bottom ribs reaching forward. The top arm comes up and over. Big breath in. Exhale, relax that top shoulder blade. Big breath in. Big breath out. Draw your belly in, lift yourself all the way up so your ribs are up above your hips, and if you fell over a little bit, then you adjust yourself, get back up here. You're gonna take that foot, turn it so the toes face up. Little bump of your hips over towards the left side, and then come over in a side bend. Don't put weight on this knee, on this joint, right? This is gonna take a little bit more of your core strength. You can put your hand on your hip if you need more support here. So just don't put pressure down on this knee. Take a big breath in. Relax this top shoulder blade, exhale. And spiral yourself back up. Bring your hands down, slide the right leg in. Ooh, that feels nice. The left leg goes out. So just like kind of turn your leg around. You want to try to get not only the toes to face up, but also the knee to face up, and feel how the thigh bone rotates around. The next time the foot's dropped down, if you're okay with that, go ahead and drop it down. Maybe you reach the pinky toe edge of that foot out, which is a little bit more of that outer shin. And then you're either gonna stay here, bend the elbows, come onto the elbows. You always get to choose. Once you get where you're going, let yourself breathe there, let yourself be there. Got 2 more nice long breaths. If you came down onto your forearms, take yourself back up. We're gonna walk over towards the right side and then take your left arm up and over. Take your bottom ribs. You don't wanna hunch in. You wanna try to roll those forward as much as possible. And then take that top arm up and over, relaxing the shoulder blade forward. You should feel a stretch in the back of your shoulder blade, like that place that gets pinchy. If you have the arm back here, you want to take that hand forward a bit. 1 more exhale. Draw the belly, lift yourself up, and then take the hand down without putting any weight onto it. You can bring it here instead. The right arm goes up and over. And the same thing, that shoulder blade releases forward a bit. Oh, sorry, toes up. Yeah, oh, there we go. Now I can bump the hips over. Sounds like a different ball game here. It's nice. Big inhale. Big exhale. All your belly in. Come on up. And then take yourself back to the center. We're going to bring both knees in. If you need to adjust in your space so that you're on your mat like so, please do. We'll move through a couple of cat-cow. Just finding breath and movement matching with each other. Rounding the spine as you exhale. Inhale, lift the tail in your nose. If you take a few more of these, you might feel like you get a little bit more out of each pose. Maybe you feel a little bit more flexible there. Maybe you don't. One more full round of breath. And then on your next inhale after that, come out to a more neutral spine. You're gonna wiggle your knees back a little bit and send your heart forward so it's above your thumbs. Take a big breath in, feel your collarbones opening. Exhale, lower all the way down onto your belly. Wiggle your legs back a little bit further. And then come up into Cobra Pose. And once you get up, send your heart forward. Exhale, relax your shoulders back. Inhale, feel that heart lifting up a little bit more. Check in with those shoulders. Can you relax them back? One more breath in. Exhale, lower down. And you're gonna push yourself back up off the floor and reach back into child's pose. You can bring your toes a little closer and maybe wiggle your knees wider. Hands might slide back, head down on the floor. You're feeling kind of dancey today. You can wiggle your pelvis around and feel your spine kind of serpent wiggle itself around. I don't know what's up with all the snake feeling today. Just going with it. Another breath in, breath out. Draw that belly and lift yourself back up. And so you come back up probably in a table pose. We're gonna give ourselves a little bit more room. Walk the hands forward, heart above your thumbs. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. Little wiggle of the legs back. Let's go Cobra Pose again. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, relax shoulders. Inhale, heart reaches forward even more. Exhale, lower down. Push the floor away. Come up onto your hands and knees. Reach that back to the hips. Slide back into child's pose. You might even wiggle your fingers and your wrists around. One more round of breath. We'll go through that little modified chaturanga sun salutation one more time. So take yourself up, hands go forward a little bit, heart goes forward. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, lower it all the way down. Inhale, Cobra Pose, send the heart forward. Exhale, relax your shoulders back. Inhale, maybe the heart opens a little bit more. Exhale, lower. Draw the belly in, push yourself up off the floor. This time into downward dog. So you're gonna curl the toes, lift the hips, and you're still pushing the floor away. Wrap the elbows back, relax your head, relax your heels. Wiggle and dance if that's calling to you, or be still. Big breath in. Big breath out. See if you can walk your hands back to your feet. We don't usually do that. You might need to bend your knees a bunch. You also might need to bring your feet towards your hands. And then take your left leg, cross it back behind your right leg. You can bring your feet really close and push into the big toe edges of your feet. It's going to be more intense. So you might bring them more apart and bend your knees a bit. If you want more space, walk your fingertips over towards the right side. You might even feel your hips lean ever so slightly over towards the left. You might be holding onto your shins. Sometimes the floor is a long ways away. Big exhale. And if you walked around to the side, bring yourself back to the center. Unwind your legs. Wrap that right leg back behind you. Walk the fingertips maybe over towards the left side. Maybe there's a little shift of those hips over towards the right. One more exhale. Come back to the center. Unwind your legs. Bend your knees, roll it up, take your time. Shirt's falling off. And then once you come up to standing, you're gonna take a little standing balance and then a slightly more involved standing balance. We're gonna start with tree pose. So have one foot up either on your toes or on your calf, but never on your knee. Maybe never it gets up onto your thigh, it doesn't matter, but never it does. Relax that knee down and lift the front of your hips, be a little bit more controlled and lift it in the floor. Have your hands at your heart or reach them out. You always get to choose. And notice where your focus is, where your power is in this tree pose. See if pushing your foot down into the floor more makes a difference in how this feels. Maybe the backs of your ears float up a little bit higher into the sky. Big breath in. Big breath out. Maybe you can lift the knee to set it down and then give a little wiggle to the stuff that might have gotten sticky. I'll go towards the other side. You're gonna have toes down for balance. You can always hold on to something that's not moving. Maybe you and the person you're practicing with are going to challenge each other to remain vertical. Like you just go ahead and touch fingers, your PT. Lifting the front of the hips, relaxing that knee down. Hands anywhere you like. Are you driving that standing foot down into the floor? Are you lifting up from behind your ears so that the spine is extended all the way up there? One more exhale. Take the leg down. A little bump and wiggle. Knowing that this next balancing pose is a little bit more intense, you might come near something that you could hold on to. We're going to take now the other leg up and over, so ankle on the knee. I'm going to face this way, so I'm not being super unclear, but you got to bend your knee and send your hips back. Now, if you hold onto your shin, it can be a little bit easier. You have a little bit more connection. Or maybe you take your hands to your heart. You're going to relax both hips back and then the ears out away from the shoulders. And then you consider that whole breathing thing that we're generally working on. Exhale. Stand up, set the foot down. And wiggle. And then finding the other side. So you're going to take that left ankle or the other ankle up onto your knee. Sit the hips back, going way back there. And then your ears are going up, up, and away. Oh my goodness. Excellent. Big breath in. Big breath out. Lift it up, set it down, and wiggle inside. We're gonna come into warrior one. So I'll be careful, okay. So go ahead and take your right foot forward, your left leg back. I want you to turn those toes up as much as you can. It's gonna be different for all of us, and even if normally you're like, oh, it feels fine with my foot out that way, bring it up a little bit more. So you really wanna try to get your hips as squared to the front as possible. And then you're gonna reach your arms up. And if your shoulders are cranky, I want you to bring your arms out wider or bend your elbows. You're going to send the hips forward, the front foot down, and then the heart up. You should feel a big stretch right here. Awesome. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in, lift that heart up. Keep it lifted, take the hands back behind your back, and then you're gonna send your heart forward towards the front thigh or down on the inside of your front thigh, but you have to wrap your front thigh bone back towards your back foot. And check out, what does it feel like behind your shoulders? Does it feel pinchy? Does it feel crowded? Can you wiggle your arms around a little bit and find some more space there? So the different alignment of the body makes a difference in how the shoulders feel. One more exhale. Draw your belly in, lift yourself up. One more inhale into warrior one again. Stretch out that belly. And then bring your hands down. And we're going to switch to the other side. Go ahead and step your back foot up. And it might have been 10 steps. You'll step the other foot back. So try to turn your toes up a little bit more than you might usually. And it doesn't have to be all the way, it's not going to be parallel, but a little bit closer is going to give you a little bit more space in the front of these hips. Go ahead and lift those arms up. Relax your inner shoulders, lift from the outer shoulders, from the armpits. But even more than that, lift from your heart. A little bit of back bend in this, but not bending backwards. It's heart going up and forwards. One more big breath in. Stay lifted in the spine, hands go back behind your back. As you interlace your fingers, now switch it to the other hand like you're holding somebody else's hands, and then you're gonna take that heart forward. On the inside of the front thigh, drawing the thigh bone back, relaxing your head. Give a little wiggle where it's necessary. Be willing to fall over. Be willing to be uncomfortable or unsure. Maybe being willing to be inquisitive. To breathe. One more exhale. Releasing your hands and coming back up to warrior one. Feel your heart lifting up to those fingertips again. And then exhale, hands come down. Try for a step up or three. And we're gonna open the legs out. Turn your toes forward. See if you can turn your toes in just like a tiny bit more. You want to feel the pinky toe edges of your feet reaching down. You'll feel that a little bit more when we get down there. Let's come into a forward fold. Inhale. And exhale. Coming on down. So on fingertips, bent knees, or straight legs. Maybe you're down on palms. Maybe you walk your hands back in between your feet. None of it matters exactly. There are options available. You reach the pinky toe edges of your feet down towards the floor. Big breath in. Big breath out. Little bend in the knees, draw your belly in, lift yourself all the way up. And then you're gonna shift into triangle pose. So go ahead and tilt yourself over towards the right. I'm gonna do this from the back. So back toes are turned up. You're gonna do a little shift of your hips over, top, drop that top hip over, and then slide your right hand down wherever it's gonna go. And then your left hand is gonna come behind your back. So you can stop here where the back of the hand is pressing into the small of the back, and you just gently press that hand down so the top shoulder rolls open. You're releasing your thigh bone towards your back foot. Or if you have really long arms, you might start sliding your hand behind your hip so it comes out on the top of your right thigh, and maybe you wrap your fingertips on and hold on to the top of the thigh. And then you're still reaching that shoulder up and away from your ear. So up and then out and back. Up towards the sky, not up towards your ear. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you're gonna unwind that arm, lift yourself up, and then you're gonna switch to the other side. I'll face you because it's weird when I don't. I'm not mirroring you now because I got to the other way. Go ahead and shift those hips over, slide the hand down, and then this hand's gonna go on the small of your back, and that's either gonna open the collarbone here, and that'll be enough, or if you've got real long arms and open shoulders, the fingers on the thigh, and then the elbow, the shoulder, drop back. Ears away from your tailbone, tailbone reaches out away from your ears. Big breath in. Big breath out. Draw your belly in, lift yourself up, unwind that arm. And then you're gonna bring the legs back in, standing into Tadasana. Do that little shoulder stretch again. This time you're gonna hold hands with yourself to maybe make it a little bit easier. Slide that right arm all the way behind your back. You're gonna hold hands on the left side of your waist. Try to drop both elbows and shoulders back. Now lift the fronts of your hips so you're not standing like this, like so. Your ear drops down towards the left shoulder. On your next exhale, drop your nose down towards that shoulder. One more exhale to let it go. Release the hands back to the center. And then slide them around towards the right side of your waist. Lift the fronts of your hips, elbows and shoulders draw back, ear to the shoulder. On your next exhale, nose down towards your shoulder. Your next exhale, relax your chin down, release your arms, and then come back up. We're gonna start coming towards the front of our space. We're gonna work our way back towards down dog and back towards the floor. So if you've had enough of like being on your arms, you can start to just come back towards child's pose whenever that seems reasonable for your body. From here, feet underneath hips. Take an inhale, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, fold it down, bend your knees as much as you need. You're gonna send the tailbone back, the heart forward, big breath in, long spine. And then bring your hands down. You're gonna step back into plank pose, quite possibly with your knees down. But if you're feeling super frisky, take an inhale and exhale, lower all the way down onto your belly. Untuck your toes. You're gonna reach the arms back this time into Shalabhasana locust pose. You might lift the legs, you might not. Take an inhale, reach your heart forward. Exhale, relax those shoulders back. One more breath in. And exhale, lower it down. Slide those hands in underneath your shoulders. And we're gonna press back to downward dog. You might pick yourself up off the floor to get back there. Reach from the armpits down into your hands. Spread those fingertips out. Big breath in, big loud sigh. And lower your knees down gently. You'll leave the hips above the knees and walk your hands out into puppy dog. If you are coming from child's pose, start to lift your hips up. Walk those hands forward, melting your heart down. One more round of breath. Start to slide those hands back in underneath your shoulders. We're gonna thread the needle. Go ahead and take your left arm, slide it just right behind your right wrist. Come down to rest on your hip. Now you can come up onto, shirt my face, fingertips. Reach the arm overhead. Sometimes palms pressing together can feel really nice. But try these things slowly, gently, carefully. Listen to your body when it says, that don't feel good. Find a variation that does, which might mean that you just leave that right hand right there. No funny business. Try to relax your thigh bones back. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then take that right hand back behind your shoulder. You're gonna open your left arm up and slide your left leg back a little bit so you can really stretch that heart up. And then float that left hand back down. Float the left knee back down. Threading the needle the other way, so you might take this right hand, just slide it down, rest on the outside of your shoulder and your face. You can take the arm up and overhead. You can stay on fingertips, lift your elbows, or two palms come together. Relax your leg bones and your hip sockets. One more round of breath. And then the left hand comes back underneath the left shoulder. That'll be hard. Reach your right arm up and slide that right leg back just so that you can get a little bit more stretch to the front side. And float the hand down. Go ahead and come back. So one more thing on our knees here, or I guess one more thing in this place on our knees. Curl your toes under and then lift yourself up so that your heart is above your hips. You're going to put your hands in the back pockets of your imaginary high waist jeans and then move your hips forward. Now your toes curled under is already starting to do this, but can you really feel that under butt lift up and forward? And then spread your collarbones out as your heart moves further forward. And if you're feeling super bendy and crazy, you can reach one or both hands back towards your heels. We're just going to use this opportunity to stretch open the front of the body since we haven't done a lot of it. Lift that heart up. One more big breath in. And then exhale, rest those hips back. You're going to untuck your toes. You can come back to sitting on your heels. If this does not feel good in your knees, you can take a pillow and put it underneath your hips, or just slide your legs out in front of you and sit in easy pose or crisscross applesauce. Turn your palms to face up. Just relaxing your collarbones down for a moment. Feel the backs of your ears reaching up and your tailbone descending down towards your toes or towards the floor if your toes aren't back there underneath your hips. Have this tendency often to kind of create this distortion in our spine where we're kind of pushing ourselves out and forward, and we're losing a lot of the strength and lift in our lower back when we do that. So can you rest yourself back a little bit? Feeling your skeleton structure expand and support you. Maybe even the eyeballs rest into the back of the head a bit. I don't know if you can, whenever I do that, I'm like, oh man, I didn't even realize my eyes were working so hard. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And start to blink your eyes open. We've been working a lot today towards cow face pose. One thing is you do not have to have both legs folded over. You can always take this variation where you would take one leg over. I've got the pinky toe edge of the foot down. I'm trying to bring my thighs together, and you could be here. This is going to be so much easier on knees and creaky hips. Please take this modification with that bottom leg extended out if it's not working for you. I will also say, if you happen to have a cushion with or without Freddie Mercury on it, you can bring that back. Because if you come into this pose from table pose, I find it's a lot easier to get the thighs together. So you're going to cross one leg behind the other, let's say it's the right leg, and then you're going to separate your feet so that you can get your bum down in between your feet. Now, for many of us, we get back there and it's like here. And you're like, this does not feel comfortable at all. So if I take your cushion or what have you, and you put it underneath the hips, when we elevate the hips, we create space for the thigh bones to move around in the hips a little bit more easily, and we get a little bit more space around that region. So we can stand easily sitting kind of in between here. And the pinky toe edges of the feet are down. Here's something to try, which you may not love. The hips generally have an easier time with the heels in very close to them. Maybe you can wiggle those feet just a little bit out, and like a half an inch. And then if you're like, wow, that's the worst thing ever, just go ahead and sneak your feet back in. But there is this adaptation that perhaps over time they get a little bit more room if you're seeking more space, yeah? Okay. Main thing here, really wanting to release the outsides of the thighs. If you are interested in working with the arm variation, you might just need to stay here just to support yourself. You can also take the bottom leg, bring that arm back behind your head. Now try to rest your head back into that forearm. Rest the outer shoulder forward. Maybe the other hand comes up and you place it in the back of your heart with your palms open, or you hold hands behind your back. And if you hold hands behind your back and your shoulder starts to tip forward, I want you to instead try to open that shoulder out, dropping your elbow down. Good. Gosh, there it is. You don't have to hold hands. If you are holding hands, or if you're pretending to hold hands, can you rest your body into your skeleton? So back a little bit. You see, I didn't like fall back, I didn't hunch over. Can you rest that body subtly backwards? One more big breath in. Big breath out. Release the top arm, bottom arm. Unwind your legs. Go ahead and give a little wiggle of them side to side. You'll come back into this from the other side. So I find it easiest to come up into table pose, do that, and then take the opposite leg behind, separate your feet, and sit back. And you don't want to sit on the heel, even if the heels are really close in towards the hips. And you might just be here, just concentrating on breath. Maybe the bottom leg extends. Whatever the bottom leg is, if you're choosing the arm variation, the arm comes up and back, and then the head rests towards the forearm. Maybe the other hand slides up behind the back or up towards hands interlacing back here. And then the shoulder has this tendency to drop forward. Can you relax that collarbone open? Can you relax the outer armpit forward on the other arm? And then, can you relax into that back body a bit? Ooh-wee. Big breath in. Big breath out. And gently releasing the arms. Unwinding your legs. Go ahead and roll them back and forth around each other. And then bring the soles of your feet together. Just lean your body forward over your feet. Big breath in. Big breath out. And slide yourself up. You're going to take one leg and extend it out. So take your right leg out. You're going to take your left hand a little, like about a foot or so away from your hip. We're going to roll up onto the shin, take stargazer, and stretch out the front of that hip, the front of the belly. All of this stuff has just been all squishy in cow face. And then take up lots of space. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Relax your hips back down. Go ahead and switch the legs. Coming over towards the other side. Take that hand about a foot away from the hip. Roll the hips up. Send the heart up and forward. And think of the body taking up a lot of space. Big breath in. Exhale, and rest your hips back down. And if you still got that cushion, we're going to come back towards it. You might scooch back. And then you can sit like crisscross applesauce, one ankle in front of the other. Or you could try to scooch so that your ankle is on top of your knee, and then your knee comes down on top of your ankle. And then try holding onto this top shin. Notice if you have that like arched place in your spine. And you settle somewhere in the middle. If you're having a hard time, like the hip is lifted up, do just a little twist away from the top leg, and then come back. Ooh. made a difference. Big breath in. Big breath out. And gently remove this top leg. Slide it down. And you might just have Sukhasana crisscross applesauce right here. Easy seat. Easy seat is a weird name for that. Most human beings have a hard time sitting in Sukhasana, which is why we practice yoga, so that we create the ease to sit in Sukhasana and lotus pose, because these are shapes where it is generally easy to keep the body lifted for meditation. And now we know. Do a little twist over towards that top foot. And then see as you come back. Oh, yes. Breathing into the sensations you feel there. One more breath in. Breathing out. And start to unwind those legs. We're going to work ourselves down onto our bellies. So if you have anything on your mat, go ahead and move it away. Roll yourself down and lower yourself in. Slide the right hand out to the right, left hand into the left shoulder, look to the left, and roll your left leg back. Now let this be nice and easy to relax the front of the hip. You can extend that leg out there, but knowing that we're working towards the end of practice, we're trying to find some softness. So see what you can do to find softness here. Rest your head. Big stretch to the front of the right chest and the left hip. And as much softness in the body as you can manage. One more breath in. Big breath out. Roll yourself over onto your belly. We'll find the other side. Slide the right hand in and the left arm out. You'll roll that right leg back. Excuse me. Finding some place to soften. One more exhale. Rolling over. Free your arms, and then you're going to come all the way over onto your back. Feet a little bit wider than your hips. You're going to take your arms up behind, either interlace your hands behind your head, let your elbows drop down, or reach your arms back and hold on to opposing elbows above your head. See if when you're holding your elbows, you can relax those inner armpits. And feet a little bit wider than the hips. You're going to take both knees over towards the right side. Flex your feet. So draw the toes up to your shins and feel that left knee reaching away from you. Continuously trying to relax your inner shoulders. Big breath in. Soften something as you exhale. And take the legs back to the center. Keep those feet flexed, toes up towards your shins. Both knees go over towards the left side. And you reach that right knee away from you, softening your inner armpits. One more breath out. Bringing it back to the center. And then bring your knees in. Giving yourself a little massage as you rock around a bit on the floor. If there's anything that you need to wrap up your practice, if you do want to take another twist, or you'd rather take a seated meditation instead of Shavasana, please start to take yourself there. Otherwise, you can rest with your feet down, knees bent to each other, arms by your sides, or maybe with the legs extended. Give a little snuggle of your shoulder blades a little bit closer underneath your heart, to let the heart have a little bit more freedom and space in the front of it. As you start to settle in, releasing the control over your breath. Finding this stillness and softness in your body. Rest very well. Start to come back to your body. If there's any small movements that call to you, just taking that freedom to move in a way that feels free or helps you to wake up. Maybe there's a good morning stretch you take, reaching the arms up over the head. Once you're ready, roll over to your favorite side, curl inwards, offer yourself gratitude for this practice today. Bringing yourself up into your own version of a comfortable seat. Coming back to this intention. As for shitty art, all art is imperfect, like the world itself. Whether we realize it or not, when we make art, when we are creative, it is a spiritual encounter, as it is our attempts to grow beyond ourselves. It is those attempts that energize the soul of the universe. And we seal in this creative space, this time that we have spent energizing our world. Seal our practice with an Om. Deep breath in. Bowing down to the love, to the light and the darkness that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste, friends. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have great days. Enjoy the rain, if it's where you are. Yeah. If you have any questions about anything or thoughts, please reach out to me always.
No.
Bye. Bye. Take care.